Sinister secrets revealed. The cursed mother haunting at the Forbidden Hotel in Baguio. Lily's heart raced as she pushed through the heavy doors of the hotel shadows, their eerie creaks echoing like desperate cries in the night. The dimly lit lobby whispered secrets her soul wasn't ready to hear. They said a mother once haunted these hallways, a woman who lost everything in a desperate clinch against fate. As a single mother fighting day to day, just to keep her children safe, those rumors struck a deep chord in her, a warning that sent chills racing down her spine. Yet, the bills piled high, and her kids needed food. Those desperate thoughts fueled her as she accepted the night job at this notorious place. The locals avoided it like the plague, but Lily was different. She needed money, and she needed it now. As she settled into her new role, each creak of the old floorboards felt like a ghost's haunting embrace, the shadows flickering just beyond the corners of her eyes, making her feel trapped in an abyss of tension. The first night, she tidied the front desk under the flickering fluorescent lights. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted something, a figure slipping through the lobby, its outline distorting like smoke before evaporating into nothingness. She shook her head, convincing herself it was just her exhaustion playing tricks. Wasn't that what every mother working to the bone tried to dismiss? Just her imagination spiraling from stress. But the unease sank deeper. Ethan and Mia had been sleeping so peacefully since their father left, yet now, every waking night screamed with terror. The walls of their modest home turned into thin barriers as they screamed from nightmares of a woman in tattered, once elegant garb, eyes filled with desperate sorrow. Their cries clawed at Lily's heart, echoing in the silent hours of the night, each pitch rattling her bones. Just a dream, she whispered to herself, clenching her fists against the tremors. Determined, she confronted the hotel's proprietor, a man with an unsettling smile that never reached his eyes. "Tell me about the past." But he merely shrugged, his vague reassurances leaving a bitter taste lingering on her tongue. With the whispers of her children and the strange encounters tightening around her throat like a noose, her desperation morphed into an obsession. She had to dig deeper. And so, she turned to her neighbors, their stories weaving together in the twilight. Haunted encounters, unnerving rumors about the owner, they echoed through her mind like a rhythmic chant. Each shared tale amplified the weight on her shoulders. Secrets tethered them to this place. But what if they weren't mere whispers of protective concern? What if their quiet reminded her of something darker looming, a truth shrouded in shadows for a reason? Every night at the hotel, shadows clutched more secrets to its withered heart, and things became unbearable. Paper fell from the front desk, objects vanished, phantom footsteps trailing behind her as she navigated the hallways. A lingering draft brushed against her neck, the sensation of a cold breath, urging her to turn. The hotel itself seemed alive, a creature entwining itself deeper into her life, whispering her name through the cobwebs. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. A feeling in her gut warned her something was coming. Just when she thought she could carve a path through the cluttered shadows, Ethan and Mia woke her one stormy night, their tiny bodies trembling in fear. "Mommy, she's here," they gasped, their wide eyes searching hers in frantic urgency. All at once, an uncomfortable realization surged through her. Were these nightmares messages from a forbidden past? She struggled against rising dread as their screams painted the walls of her mind with pictures of horror she couldn't ignore. She pressed her palm against the cold surface of a dusty mirror in the hallway. It rippled like water. A fleeting moment revealed the woman from her children's nightmares staring right back at her, desperation etched across her face. There was the connection she had been running from. Lily's breath hitched, and the realization settled like ice in her veins. She had to confront this darkness head-on. But just as the door began to crack open, the hotel exhaled, its ancient whispers turning into thunderous roars around her, a warning that might be already sealed her fate. What was she truly stepping into? And was she too late to turn back? The hallway stretched before Lily, a dark tunnel shrouded in a thick fog that seemed to pulse with the very heartbeat of the hotel shadows. The ripples in the mirror faded, but the woman's gaze lingered in Lily's mind, a specter pulling her toward the edge of a nightmare she was desperate to escape. With a shaky breath, she turned toward the double doors that led to the lobby, the weight of her children's fear, certainty anchoring her feet. Ethan and Mia, their voices still echoing in her head, needed her. She had to protect them, but how could she shield them from something unseen? Stay close, she muttered, her words barely a whisper as she navigated through the twisted confines of the hotel. As she passed room after room, shadows morphed and danced in the corners of her vision. The air chilled, wrapping her in a cocoon of dread. A soft sobbing drifted through the cracks, rising and falling like a haunting lullaby, and for a moment, Lily felt paralyzed. Mommy Mia's small voice broke through the haze in her mind. She found her children huddled together near the reception desk, their small bodies trembling like leaves caught in a gust. "She's coming for us," Ethan cried, his wide eyes glistening with terror. Their fear licked up Lily's spine, igniting a primal urge to protect. But who was this woman? What did she want? "I'll keep you safe, I promise," she reassured them, casting a glance toward the darkened hallway, her heart pounding. The air thickened, crackling with anticipation, as if the hotel itself knew she was finally willing to confront it. Slowly, she stepped away from her children, gathering all the courage she could muster. A flickering light caught her attention. One of the room doors stood ajar, pulsating with an ominous glow that beckoned her forward. "Don't move," she told Ethan and Mia, hoping her voice would soothe them and mask her own rising panic. With each step closer to the door, the sobbing grew louder. Could the ghost of the mother be behind it? A heartbeat of dread resounded in her chest as she reached a trembling hand toward the door, pushing it open further. Inside, the room was thick with dust and memories, the air charged with sorrow. Her gaze swept across the walls and landed on a faded photograph pinned askew, a mother holding two children, a look of desperate love etched onto her face. Goosebumps rippled down Lily's arms as the sobs escalated into piercing wails, drowning her senses. "Mommy, help!" Mia screamed from the lobby, a stark reminder of the reality ripping her between two worlds. Before she could react, a shadow surged past the doorway, a figure cloaked in frayed remains of what once could have been beautiful fabric. The elongated limbs stretched impossibly, reaching toward her. Lily froze, her breath stolen away as the air condensed around her. Dread crawled up her throat. The mother in the photo, was she trying to tell Lily something? Or was this all part of the anger woven into the hotel's very foundation? "What do you want?" Lily cried, her voice cracking under the weight of panic. The figure paused, its ghostly features contorting with unfathomable sorrow. The air thickened, and the temperature dropped. Lily's heart thundered as the shadowed form drew closer. Then something snapped in the darkness. Ethan and Mia's terrified cries echoed, piercing the suffocating silence with a fresh wave of horror. With one last desperate cry, Lily lunged toward the light, pulling her children into her trembling arms. The room seemed to close in, walls whispering secrets she'd never understand. But nothing could prepare her for the rush of air as the door slammed shut behind her, sealing them within the restless shadows of the hotel shadows. She held on to her children tighter, terror flooding her veins as the eye of the storm approached. Just beyond the door, a faint voice lingered. You shouldn't have come here. What shadows had she unleashed? And would they be strong enough to keep the darkness at bay? Or would it pull her family into an eternal night? The air thickened like syrup around Lily as she clutched her children tighter, their small bodies quaking against hers. The door, once a barrier, now felt like an impenetrable prison. The distant sobs echoed like a twisted song, reverberating in her mind, drowning out everything else. The darkness felt alive, crawling beneath her skin, prickling with dread. "Mama, I'm scared," Mia whispered, her voice barely audible, trembling with fear. Ethan squeezed her hand, his eyes darting toward the door, wide and glossy. "We can't stay here." Lily's voice quaked with resolve, but doubt gnawed at her. With every ounce of courage, she stepped backward, putting a few feet between them and the cursed door. They had to escape the room. They had to reclaim their breath, their hope. As if in response to her resolve, the air suddenly shifted. A low humming filled the room, growing stronger, turning the sobs into anguished shrieks that clawed at her sanity. It was as though the shadows had a pulse, a rhythmic thrum that mirrored her racing heart. "What do you want?" she shouted, desperation rising like bile in her throat. But silence descended, wrapping around them like a shroud. Ethan whimpered, his grip tightening on Mia. "I don't like it. Mom, I want to go home." Home. A thought that felt like a lifeline, yet panic surged as Lily looked around. The room walls began to close in, dark corners pulsing with that horrible energy. She had to act, had to move. "We need to get out now." In a fluid motion, she grabbed her children's hands and bolted toward the second door, the one opposite the one they entered. It stood slightly ajar, the darkness beyond thick like a living entity. With one last look back at the frozen specter, she pushed through, dragging Ethan and Mia behind her. The fresh air that greeted them was a lie. It was laced with the bitter scent of decay, and the moment they stepped inside, the echoes of their footsteps were swallowed by the oppressive silence. "Where are we?" Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. The room was expansive, filled with dusty furniture draped in tattered sheets. The walls were lined with cracked mirrors, reflecting the fear etched on their faces. "Just keep close," Lily instructed, even though the rising sense of unease twisted her stomach. Another door loomed at the far end of the room, slightly ajar. A flickering light beckoned them into the unknown. Mia tugged at her sleeve, her eyes wide. "I don't want to go in there, I know, sweetheart, but we have to keep moving." Lily felt her resolve shift to desperation. As they approached the door, the air grew heavier, each step laborious, as if the shadows were trying to drag them back. Just as they reached for the doorknob, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the air, the unmistakable cry of a child. It echoed off the walls, blood-chilling and raw. "Mom!" Ethan cried out, stumbling backward. Lily's heart raced as she turned, striving to find the source. There, in the corner, a small figure emerged from the shadows, translucent and trembling, a child. His eyes were wide with terror, mirroring her children's fears. His mouth opened, but no sound came. "Help me, please," the child mouthed silently, his face contorted in agony. A chill raced down Lily's spine. Dread settled heavily in her gut. Was this a spirit seeking assistance, or was this a trap? What if it was connected to the ghost that haunted the halls? "Mama, let us go?" Ethan grasped her tightly, pulling her back as if sensing the danger looming in the air. But before she could answer, the lights began to flicker violently overhead. Shadows danced wildly around them as the room filled with whispers, a cacophony of voices clamoring to be heard. Leave, you shouldn't be here." The child's form flickered, and it wavered like a flame caught in a gust of wind. Lily felt dizzy, the room tilting as she struggled to grasp what was real. "Not again," she gasped, realizing this moment felt like a trap all its own. The fear in her heart surged like a tidal wave. "Mia, Ethan, hold on to me," she commanded, panic fueling her strength. But as they tried to back away, the room pulled them forward, darkness enveloping them like quicksand. The child's voice echoed in her mind, pleading, as the world around her began to twist. "Help me, please." Time stretched, and suddenly, a blinding flash erupted from the shadows, illuminating everything for a brief second. All Lily could hear were their hearts pounding, then darkness closed in heavily around them. And then, silence. The world held its breath. She couldn't shake the feeling that the hotel played a game with their very souls, but she needed answers, and she wouldn't let the shadows win. But could she unravel its chilling secrets before it consumed them all? A sudden draft swept through the room, chilling Lily to the bone. The silence felt pregnant with anticipation, as if the air itself awaited a reckoning. Her heart hammered in her chest, urging her to move, to fight whatever darkness loomed around them. "Mommy, what is happening?" Mia's voice trembled, pulling Lily back to the present, reminding her that her children needed her. "Listen," Lily murmured, scanning the shadows that flickered by the edges of the room. "We need to be quiet. If we don't move fast, we might not make it out." But as they stepped back, the shadows shifted, swirling like a tempest, and took on strange shapes. Wispy figures flickered, glancing at them with hollow eyes. Lily's throat went dry. Was she watching remnants of a past tragedy? Ghosts yearning for release? Or were they merely products of her fraying sanity? Mama, Ethan cried, stepping back, pulling Mia with him. Stay close, she barked, feeling a rush of adrenaline flood her veins. They had to escape. The chilling moans seeped from the walls, wrapping around them in an agonizing stranglehold. Each sound melted into the next, forming a dreadful symphony of dread. The door of potential escape seemed to mock her now. It was a threshold between despair and safety, painted in layers of nightmarish power. Lily gulped down her fear, stepping forward while keeping Ethan and Mia shielded behind her. They could do this. They had to do this. As she lay her hand on the knob, a violent surge of energy jolted her. An unbearable scream racked her, echoing through the oppressive air. It wasn't the child's voice, but a chorus of tormented souls, shrilling in finality. Leave, you shouldn't be here. The whispers grew louder, clawing at her eardrums, feeding on her fear. With a swift decision, she yanked the door open. Light cascaded into the dark abyss, exposing a scarred hallway lined with doorways that gaped like hungry mouths. But hope mingled with despair. A glimmer of safety ahead flickered, but so did deception. Run! Screaming the word, she pulled her kids along, their feet pounding against the creaky floorboards, pushing forward away from the cacophony of tormented cries. They raced down the hall, the lights flickering above them in warning. Shadows darted from doorways, reaching out as if wanting to ensnare them. Lily's heart was a drum of terror in her chest as she navigated the maze of horrors. Mama! Mia shrieked, panic radiating from her small frame. What is behind us? Lily turned briefly, the darkness pulsating and swirling steadily closer. Don't look back. Just keep moving. They stumbled into a room filled with broken mirrors reflecting their distorted faces. Fear, terror, and confusion mingling disturbingly. Lock it! Ethan yelled, hearing the pounding footfalls growing ever closer, barely managing to push the door shut behind them. The echoes of voices surged louder, as if they were all clamoring to claw their way back to life through the cracked sliver. Mama, I don't want to die, Mia cried, her small body trembling against her mother. You're not going to die, I promise. Her own voice felt hollow as dread built in her throat. What if promises could not protect them? The whispers intensified, a sickening chant that clawed at their minds. Help us, help us. The reflections in the mirrors shifted, showing the faces of children twisted, anguished, stretching and pulling as if they were trapped beneath the surface of a cruel glass. Lily's breath quickened in horror as she realized they were staring back at her, eyes pleading and desperately filled with silent stories of torment. Sudden warmth spread along her arm. Ethan had grabbed her hand tightly. Mom, we have to go. Now. But as she pulled the kids back toward the door, the mirrors exploded with light, and the children's faces morphed into grotesque murals, screaming silently. Lily! A voice shattered through, a familiar urgency echoing in her thoughts. It was her own voice, but warped, twisted, overriding the horror around them. Mama? Ethan's voice was fragile. Hold on. She took a step back, the shadows penetrating. Their sanctuary. She needed to find a way out. She needed answers. The darkness encroached as her resolve stiffened. She defaced whatever this was, summoned every ounce of bravery. Then, in a horrifying instant, the figures in the mirrors leaned forward, mouths stretching grotesquely wide in a unified wail, a desperate, drawn-out cry that shattered her soul. And just as suddenly, they fell silent. What had she unleashed? They were trapped, in a place where escape felt like a cruel mirage. As the shadows gathered around, thick and cloying, Lily realized the truth that gripped her like a jagged shard. They weren't the only ones seeking freedom. But from whom? A new door painted a sickly green loomed ahead, its edge shimmering with a malevolent light. Should they take that risk? With fear lighting her eyes, she glanced back at Ethan and Mia. Let us find out what lay beyond that door. Would it be salvation or the final door to doom? Lily approached the sickly green door, its unsettling glow beckoning like a siren-esque call. With each step, the shadows seemed to curl around her feet, an unseen force dragging her downward. She took a deep breath, readying herself. The air grew thicker, and the whispered anguish heightened, wrapping her family in an oppressive embrace. Mommy, I don't like this, Mia whimpered, her eyes wide, glistening with unshed tears. Ethan squeezed her hand tighter. "Let us just stay here." "No," Lily snapped, the urgency of survival pushing her voice into a thin thread of panic. "We can't stay. It'll find us." The door pulsed rhythmically, as though it held a heartbeat of its own. It felt alive. Whatever lay on the other side. It felt like a choice between falling deeper into darkness or stepping into the unknown where a flicker of hope might still burn. Gathering her resolve, she turned the knob. The door swung open with a creak that echoed like a mournful cry through the hall. Beyond lay another room, draped in shadows, lit only by soft flickers from a series of dim candles. Shapes writhed against the walls, leaving behind ghostly traces like the remnants of forgotten dreams. "Stay close," she whispered, pulling the children inside. They hesitated, standing just in the threshold, eyes darting between the darkness and the door. With a decisive shove, she nudged them in, the door slamming shut with a resonating boom that rattled the very air around them as her eyes adjusted. The candlelight revealed what seemed like a circle drawn with chalk on the floor, intricate symbols swirling within. It felt ancient, unnatural. The air thrummed with an energy that made her skin crawl. In the center, an object lay, a locket, shimmering as if it held a secret too heavy to bear. "Mama, what is that?" Ethan pointed, leaning closer. "Wait," Lily instructed, her heart racing. She could feel the pull of the locket, like it was anchoring her deeper into the spirit realm she'd just begun to understand. It looked harmless, yet so much about this place felt wrong. Help us," the voices flared back to life, a torrent that sent shudders down her spine. Lily knelt to pick up the locket, but as her fingers brushed against its cool surface, an overwhelming wave of despair washed over her. In an instant, the shadows inside the room twisted violently, morphing into panicked figures, faces half-formed, mouths open in silent screams. They clawed at the walls, reaching towards her, their hollow eyes filled with desperation. "Mama!" Mia shrieked, stumbling back. "It's okay. I'm right here," Lily called, adrenaline pumping through her veins. She could feel the children trembling beside her. She had to stay calm. She had to maintain control. The locket slipped from her fingers, clattering against the floor and triggering the symbols in the chalk circle to ignite. Glowing like molten gold, they flared to life, illuminating the room in blinding light. The figures froze, their movements arrested as they turned toward the source of the light, faces now twisted in terror. "Take it," a voice screeched, unworldly and shrill. "You must take the locket or suffer the consequence." "What consequence?" Lily shouted back, her voice strong but shaking. In response, the figures began to whisper again, a chorus of confusion and fear that flooded her mind. "You'll never escape, you must choose." Ethan echoed, trembling badly. "Choose what?" The ground beneath them trembled as the figures began to dissolve, the light from the symbols fading and the shadows seeping in like a thick fog. Lily had to decide quickly. Would she grasp the locket, revealing secrets that could save them or doom them to the same fate? "Mama, what do we do?" Mia cried, her voice slicing through the fading whispers. With a chilling certainty creeping into her mind, Lily's heart raced. Should she embrace the darkness or flee before it consumed them all? Mia, Ethan, step back. But was the danger behind them or ahead? Lily stared at the locket, feeling it pulse in tune with her own frantic heartbeat. Time staggered as she stood at the crossroads. Would she reach out for the truth, or would she run from the horror that awaited her? The light threatened to extinguish, leaving only shadows to claw at her. "Take it," the voice screeched again, reverberating against her sanity. Before it's too late. Lily made her choice, and with it, the echoes of her children's fates began to intertwine with the twisting shadows, leaving her breathless and terrified. What awaited them was uncertain, but she had no idea of the sinister reality that would unfold. Would they find salvation or unlock a nightmare worse than they could ever imagine? Lily's hand shot forward, seizing the locket just as the dim candles flickered wildly. The moment it touched her palm, a surge of energy rushed through her, electrifying her veins. She gasped, her breath short as the whispers transcended into screams, echoing around them like a violent thunderstorm. "What have you done?" Ethan cried, terror palpable in his voice. The shadows twisted grotesquely, reforming into more defined figures, now spirits racked with torment, their faces contorted into masks of agony. They surged toward her, fingers clawing for the locket, their voices merging into a cacophony of despair. "You must give it back. You must shut up," Lily screamed, the volume of her words slicing through the chaos as she cradled the shimmering object against her chest. The golden glow intensified, causing the specters to recoil, their wails transforming into shrill shrieks, haunting her ears. "Mama, please. We have to leave," Mia begged, pressing her tiny frame against Ethan, seeking solace in her brother's strength. I know," Lily shouted, her pulse racing. The warmth of the locket contrasted sharply with the chill of the air enveloping them. The strange energy pulsed with each heartbeat, suggesting a bond both dreadful and alluring. Suddenly, the candles sputtered out one by one, plunging the room into utter darkness, the only light emanating from the cursed object. The shadows throbbed, creeping closer, suffocating her in despair. "Make a choice," the voice screamed again, now sounding like 100 tortured souls in unison. "Your children will pay." A sickening heaviness settled in Lily's stomach. The choice hung over her, an unsolvable riddle. If she kept the locket, what risk lurked ahead? If she released it, would the anger of the shadows consume them in revenge? "Lily, please." Ethan's voice trembled, palpable fear swelling in the small space between them. Just then, the walls breathed, pulsating like a living thing, and a low growl echoed from the farthest corner. A glimmer of sinister eyes emerged, watching them, mocking their fear. Overwhelmed, Lily's grip tightened around the locket, and she was struck by a strangely comforting thought. Maybe the locket held their salvation or their doomed as if hearing her thoughts. An icy wind swept through the room, extinguishing the last of the candles and plunging them into profound darkness. The shadows pressed in, melding into the very fabric of the room. With their whispers mounting, Lily felt the tension crawling up her spine. The figures loomed, closing in, the air dense with anguish and intent. The unseen eyes fixated on her, and her heart raced as dread filled her throat. "Lily, I can help you," whispered a voice, distinct yet painful, cutting through the murmuring void. "Who are you?" she gasped, stepping back, shifting to shield her children from the encroaching darkness. The murmur swelled, drowning out her thoughts. "You can change it all, just let go of the locket." Could she trust it? The alternatives were laid bare before her. Relinquish the only source of hope and face the shadows, or cling to it and embrace the unknown. "What do we do, Mama?" Mia whispered, eyes wide and luminous with fear, stealing glances at the shifting darkness surrounding them. The oppressive weight of their dilemma pressed down, thick and suffocating. Lily took a shaky breath, feeling the energy within the locket vibrate against her heart. She needed to choose. "Lily, now." Ethan pulled at her arm, fear igniting into urgency as the shadows thrashed violently, threatening to engulf them completely. A chilling figure emerged, its outline vaguely human yet horrific. A twisted grin spread across its hollow face. "Let go, and you will join us forever." Lily felt her insides twist with terror. She had to act, but a deeper dread wrapped around her. What if letting go meant releasing something worse? "Now, what are you really willing to sacrifice?" The figure hissed, stretching its hand toward the children, fingers elongating like snake tongues. Desperation hit her like a freight train. A decision must be made fast, or they'd be lost forever. Was she truly ready to gamble their fate for the glimmering hope of salvation, or was the cost more than she could bear? In the chaos of her thoughts, a haunting question lingered. Would they all fall into the engulfing darkness, or could salvation lie in the unthinkable choice before her? The shadows shifted, eager, stretching towards her. One final chance. What would she give up to save her children? Lily's heart pounded like a tribal drum, each beat sending jolts of panic surging through her. She clutched the locket as the phantom figure loomed larger, its voice echoing with malicious delight. "Join us forever." The darkness pulsated, a living entity hungry for possession. Shadows unfurled like claws, snatching at her children, and for a fleeting second, time suspended. She felt paralyzed, her instincts warring with the perceptions of danger cascading around her. Could she risk letting go of the locket and thrust her family into the clutches of whatever this thing intended? "No," she shouted, a fervent cry infused with instinct and terror. "You can't have them." The creature's grin widened, revealing rows of jagged teeth glinting like sharpened bones. They are already ours. You just don't know it yet. Mia looked up at her mother, tears brimming in her wide eyes. Mama, I'm scared. Stay close, Lily yelled, her voice trembling as she fought to maintain control over the spiraling situation. Ethan backed against the wall, his little sister tucked protectively under his arm. The oppressive weight of darkness seemed to seep into the very air they breathed, suffocating their resolve. The whispers changed, morphing into desperate pleas. Lily, break the chain. Break the chain, the words repeated, echoing off the walls, taunting her sanity. Confusion surged. What chain? Were they bound to something? In a sudden flash of clarity, Lily recalled the stories she had read about cursed objects, items that tethered souls to despair. Was the locket the lock, binding not just her, but her children to a fate sealed long before? You can't trust them, Ethan barked, grasping her arm tightly. It's a trap. She swung to face him, the panic in her chest wavering from protective fire to a flicker of hope. But what if it's the only way? The swirling chaos of whispers intensified, overlapping into a frenzied scream. Louder and louder it climbed, a tidal wave threatening to drown them. Let go! Let go! Lily was losing ground. The glow of the locket beat in harmony with her racing heart, flickering in rhythm, each pulse inviting the darkness closer. She shut her eyes, squeezing the locket tightly, envisioning the bright warmth washing over her family, pushing away the chilling uncertainty. No, you don't know what you're dealing with. The creature roared, its voice dipping into a sinister growl. Once you claim it, you can't turn back. You will become part of us. Desperation flooded Lily's veins. A sudden idea struck her. Heart thumping, she shouted, "Children, stand back." A second of confusion held them as she yanked at the chain of the locket, trembling fingers clawing at it. A fight against the undeniable pull. The shadows writhed, howling in frustration, pushing forward with ferocity. No, you'll doom us all. That sudden fear gripped her, seizing her resolve. What if the shadows were right? By letting it go, would she set free something worse? Still, instinct prevailed. Like a clenched jaw refusing entry to a bitter truth, she shouted, "I won't let you hurt my family." The words echoed through terror like gunfire, that a violent tremor shook the ground beneath them. With a fierce ripple, the shadows recoiled, but the locket's grip tightened, much like the breath in her chest when fright overtook reason. "Mama," Mia cried, pulling on her arm. "What if you can't? Trust me. I will protect you." The anguish in her voice washed over them, illuminating the path of defiance. In that moment, she resolved to face what lay beyond the unknown. With a sudden burst of energy, she yanked the locket away from her heart, a fiery rage igniting within her. Yet the instant her hand released its grasp, an infernal scream erupted, shaking the very core of the air around them. Would the act of severing that bond drain her whole existence, advancing their demise? As darkness writhed like a living tableau around them, Lily's vision blurred, and she staggered. The rest was surely the abyss coming to claim its due. Yet as ground crumbled beneath her feet, she couldn't shake the unsettling thought. Could breaking free from the cursed locket mean something greater, or unleash horrors they had yet to fathom? The shadows lunged forward as she drew a breath, ready to plunge into the unknown. What awaited them would either be the end or a glimmer of untainted light in the heart of their struggle. Was she ready to face the unraveling of everything she knew? Or would the depths of the darkness devour them all? The world around Lily shattered into a vortex of cries and darkness. A blinding flash erupted as the locket slipped from her fingers, hurtling to the ground with an earth-shattering thud. Time froze. The shadows recoiled, screeching as if physically struck, swirling chaotically like tornadoes of despair. "Mama!" Mia screamed, the sound cutting through the chaos. Lily could barely comprehend where she was as tendrils of darkness clawed at her. The moment felt unnaturally slow, every heartbeat echoing painfully in her ears. She felt Ethan's hand grasp her wrist, the warmth of his small grip battling the icy dread creeping up her spine. Then it happened. The ground beneath her distorted, rippling like water disturbed by a stone. The light from the locket flickered, trembled, and then exploded into 1,000 shimmering fragments. Each piece danced in the air, weaving a tapestry of illumination that punctuated the inky blackness. In that fleeting spectacular moment, a figure emerged from the light, a spectral silhouette that radiated an ethereal glow, juxtaposing the darkness around it. Curly hair floated around a childlike face, and Lily realized it was a girl. "Help, please, who are you?" Lily gasped. She felt strength drained from her limbs, and she stumbled. "They want to take you," the girl exclaimed, her voice echoing with urgency among the shrieks. "You must run." The moment of revelation filled Lily with panic, and a fierce flame ignited inside her. "We want to leave each other," she shouted to Mia and Ethan, her voice clashing against the tumult. They were in this together, no matter the cost. But the shadows howled, feeding on her defiance. The screams grew louder, squirming deep inside her. "Run, Lily, now!" Ethan tugged at her as the first wave of shadows surged like a tidal wave, dark fingers reaching for their very souls. "Mama, please." Lily turned her back to the glowing figure and saw the tangled chaos of shadows twisting dangerously behind them. "Don't look back." She started to run, pulling her children close. The air crackled with malice, shadows snapping at their heels like ravenous wolves. Every breath burned as they tore through the encroaching darkness, racing towards an unseen escape. The hallway twisted like a coiled snake beneath their frantic feet. The echoes of voices transformed into cruel laughter, mocking their flight. "You'll never escape. You've severed the bond, but you can't break the curse." "What does that mean?" Ethan yelled. "What curse?" "I don't know." Lily gasped, her thoughts racing. "Just hold on." They rounded a corner into a darkened room. Flickering lights illuminated grotesque portraits of wronged faces perched on the walls. Every gaze seemed to follow them, eyes filled with rage and pain. Mia whimpered, the fright bubbling from her small frame. "Mama," she stuttered, drawing closer. The laughter amplified, echoing around them like a twisted chorus, an orchestra of horrors. Lily's skin crawled. Dread seeped through her, threatening to make her collapse. She felt the heaviness of despair weighing on her shoulders, an insidious grip tightening around her heart. Then, in an instant, the portraits began to change. The faces twisted into expressions of torment unrecognizable, yet eerily familiar. "Help us! Free us!" they cried out, their voices blending into the chaos. Not again. Suddenly, the panic morphed into an undeniable recognition. They weren't just drawings. They were trapped souls, snagged in a net of horrors that echoed her every thought. Every fragment of the past she had buried suddenly roared to life. "Ethan, Mia, listen closely," she shouted, a desperate edge clawing at her voice. "We need to confront it. Whatever is controlling us." A shadow lunged from the corner, lunging forward with claws elongated like daggers, desperate to silence her words. With a shattered scream, Lily darted, her heart thrumming violently in her chest. The room began to distort, the walls blurring into a kaleidoscope of despair. Was she losing herself to the shadows? Yet, even through the disarray, the glowing figure lingered at the far edge of her vision, watching, waiting. "You must find the truth," it whispered, the voice sweet yet harsh, laced with urgency. Would confronting the truth unlock a path to freedom, or would it shatter their very essence? As shadows encapsulated them once more, one thought repeated in her mind: she needed to know what the curse truly was. What horror lay hidden behind the final answer? Lily steeled herself, ready to plunge into the depths of the unknown. Lily's heart pounded in her chest, every beat drumming a warning against the encroaching darkness. The walls warped around her, twisting like the very shadows they feared. With Mia secured by her side and Ethan clinging to her other arm, they surged forward, instinct driving them deeper into the malevolent heart of the hotel. "Keep moving. We can't stop," Lily barked, forcing the words through a throat tight with dread. The shadows whispered malicious secrets that tickled the edges of her consciousness, tempting her with visions of despair. "Turn back. There's no escape." Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the air as a shadowy limb burst forth, snagging Ethan's wrist. He yelped, panic flooding his eyes. Without thinking, Lily yanked him free with all the force she could muster, the grip of the shadows dissolving under her fierce determination. "Run," she called, pushing forward. As they rushed down a hallway that seemed to stretch endlessly, Lily's breath became a labored gasp. Every step felt heavy with dread, as if the hotel itself was alive, breathing down her neck. Just ahead, a door flickered in and out of existence, almost like a mirage. "Over there, to the door," she shouted. They barreled towards it, the ominous laughter of the trapped souls echoing behind them, intertwining with the guttural growls of the shadows. They were close now, too close to falter. Mia stumbled, nearly falling, but Lily caught her. "Don't stop. I need you to run." The door loomed large, darkwood contrasting the flickering lights around it. With a desperate shove, Lily opened it, the creak reverberating through the hall like a death knell. They tumbled inside. It was a dusty room, lined with shelves of ancient books and jars filled with trembling shadows of their own. The air was heavy with a thick, musty smell that clawed at their throats. Dim light seeped from a cracked window, illuminating an ornate mirror hanging on the wall like a portal to another realm. "Look," Mia said, pointing to the reflection in the glass. They saw the room from behind a swirling mass of darkness just outside the door, waiting, searching, snarling. "What do we do?" Ethan's voice quivered, fear amplifying with each passing second. Lily turned towards the mirror, its surface rippling slightly. "There is something connected to this. There has to be a reason it's here. Maybe it can help us," Ethan suggested, hope tinging his voice. But just as she reached towards the glass, a wave of darkness crashed against the door, splintering the wood and sending shockwaves through the room. "No, stay away from it," she cried, pulling her children back instinctively. The mirror began to glow, a brilliant light cleaving through the shadows. "It's showing us the truth," the glowing girl from before whispered urgently, her figure flickering as if the connection was strained. "Then show us," Lily yelled, heart racing. "We need to know." The shadows thrashed outside, the air thick with malice. Voices howled a symphony of anguish that clawed at the edges of sanity. But the mirror shimmered brighter, and suddenly, it revealed swirling images, forgotten memories, buried regrets. "Look there," Mia gasped, pointing at the mirror. Lily's breath caught in her throat. Faces flashed by people she recognized, lost and tormented, as they bled into the story of their past. It was her past, her family, scars etched onto their faces, their cries echoing in the hollow corners of her memory. What is this?" Panic surged through Lily as she feared the implications. "They're trapped, just like us," Ethan murmured, understanding creeping into his trembling words. "I can't take this." Lily's heart pounded, a mixture of vulnerability and raw anger. "I won't let this happen to us." As she stepped towards the mirror, the shadows shrieked, their anger manifesting into a violent burst of dark energy that shattered the door behind them. With instinct more powerful than fear, she tore herself away from the mirrors, pulled just as the door crumpled at the onslaught. The way forward lay behind her, a path swarmed with nightmarish chaos, her choice to move forward or stay and confront the truth. Then, out of the mayhem, a deep voice boomed, cold and unforgiving. "The truth is not what you want it to be, Lily. Will you dare to uncover it?" Lily's eyes narrowed, resolve hardening within her. "I'll face whatever it is. This ends here." But as the darkness lunged like a beast, hungry for her essence, she clutched her children tightly and took a step into the unknown. What price would they pay to confront the truth? Would it save them or seal their fate forever? The moment they stepped into the bright abyss of the mirror, a wave of warmth washed over Lily, a stark contrast to the grim shadows that chased them. She felt transformed, like she was shedding layers of vulnerability and grief. Ethan and Mia clung to her sides, their tiny hands trembling against her back. The swirling images began to solidify, drawing them into a realm where time and reality intertwined. "Mom, where are we?" Ethan asked, his voice small amidst the breathtaking glow surrounding them. This is something new," Lily said, heart pounding. The figures of her past came into focus, her parents, vibrant and smiling, not the shadowy figures trapped in despair. They danced alongside memories bathed in golden light. Her laughter echoed, lifting her spirits even in this darkness. The specter of the little girl, radiant and hopeful, appeared once more, eyes wide with urgency. "You need to choose," she cried. "Choose what?" Lily shouted back, impatience and fear intermingling. "Your love breaks the chain," the girl said, even as shadows clawed at the edges of their newfound sanctuary. The pleading gaze of the girl seemed to cut through the noise swirling around them. The darkness trembled at the edges as if it feared their resolve. "Stay close," Lily urged, feeling the flickering pulse of hope ignite in her heart. The shadows moaned and howled, their voices crawling through her skin with reminders of the price they had to pay for their freedom. "What do I have to do?" "Face the truth," the girl whispered, but her words fractured under pressure, screaming like shadows tearing at fabric. The lights dimmed, the tension squeezed tightly around them. "What truth?" Lily repeated, her voice breaking with intensity. Suddenly, the world shifted again. Fragments of memories fluttered around her like fireflies, illuminating snippets of her life, joy filled with laughter, pain dipped in sorrow. "Find us. We're here," echoed the voices of her children. The glow became blinding, exposing Lily's deepest fears, a collage of the burdens she had carried, her past losses, and the love woven intricately through her life. Then she understood. It wasn't just about her struggles, but hers and her children's intertwined destinies. "Show me," she cried, fighting against the flood of memories. Tears streamed down her face, not of sorrow, but of recognition. This was the truth. Love could scatter darkness like sunlight through the trees. The mirror pulsed violently, reflecting the fractured pieces of her spirit. "All the pain, it's here because of fear," the glowing girl said. "A mother's sacrifice can break the chains." "No," the shadows screamed, rushing forward with renewed ferocity. Lily took a step back, holding her breath while pulling her children closer. "Mommy," Mia's voice pierced through the chaos, and Lily felt a surge of fierce determination. "You're each other's light." That was it. The shadows were not just an enemy, but reflections of the fear she held, the past that weighed on her soul, the history she wished to outrun. In a moment of clarity, she raised her hands, palms open. "We're not afraid anymore," she declared, her voice rising above the cacophony of despair. The glow from the mirror intensified, illuminating their courage as beams of brilliant light shot forth, driving back the encroaching darkness. The shadows convulsed, howling, as Lily summoned the strength built from her love for Ethan and Mia. "You can't have us," she roared, fueled by the fierce desire to free them all. And then it happened. An explosion of pure light erupted from her grasp, shattering the darkness and cleansing the air of despair. Ghostly figures swirled and shrieked. The shadows lost their grip, and the anguish that had once filled the hotel began to dissolve into nothingness. Lily felt the warmth envelop her once again, pulling her toward an undeniable promise of safety. The light tasted like freedom, shimmering and bright, as it enveloped them in its embrace. She could feel the shadows receding, their whispers growing faint as they were denied the solace they once commanded. "Run!" the glowing girl cheered, dancing toward the fading darkness. The connection was severed, the chains of despair shattered forever. With a final push, Lily and her children broke free, bursting out of the mirror back into the real world. They tumbled onto the wooden floor of the hotel lobby, the air thick with stillness. The shadows had fallen away, leaving only silence in their wake. Lily gasped, breathless but whole. They were together, the bond unbroken. Relief washed over her, and in that moment, she knew they were safe. "Can we really go home?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling with the aftermath of their harrowing ordeal. "Home," Lily repeated, gripping their hands tightly. "Yes, we can go home together." As they stepped through the door of the hotel shadows, leaving its cursed walls behind, Lily sighed. A profound sense of freedom enveloped her heart. The whispers faded, the shadows dispersed, and the curse was finally broken. They turned to face the sunrise breaking the horizon, illuminating a path forward, filled with hope. In that moment, with her children beside her, she felt ready to embrace the future, every moment waiting just for them. And as they walked away, leaving the haunted past in the shadows where it belonged, a new chapter began. Subscribe immediately so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories like this. Smash that like button now to help keep our channel alive and thriving. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need these thrilling stories in their lives. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.